Yesterday, Old School RuneScape released a development blog covering their future plans for the Old School RuneScape economy. Now you might be wondering, why are you making a video covering an Old School RuneScape development blog? Well, just like the removal of the duel arena, it was said that the economy experts are looking into both games.
Dragon's has actually brought in some game economy experts who are actually taking a look at not just Old School but RuneScape as well to make some recommendations on actions we can take to put things in a better place.
So the probability of us receiving a tax system just like Old School RuneScape or something entirely else is definitely there. Today we'll be talking about this development blog, so whenever you're ready, grab your cup of tea, sit back, get taxed, and enjoy. Alongside a bunch of other basic gold sinks, Jagex Old School RuneScape team is thinking or planning about adding a 2% tax to the Grand Exchange. Since the post said thinking, it leads me to believe that this number is very much subject to change. The post states that the tax would be passed on to the seller, as 2% of the item's value would be removed from the sell value after the item is sold, while also stating that there wouldn't be any changes in the price the buyer pays. However, this couldn't be further from the truth, because it does not matter on who the tax is opposed, as the price would rise due to the tax either way. Let's give a quick example with a packet of milk that costs $1 pre-tax. The commercial cost for this item is 80 cents. The profit margin then, of course, is 20 cents. Let's say the customer is buying this item from the seller directly and he's paying taxes, 25%. The customer would be paying $1.25 for this packet of milk. But let's say the tax percentage rises to 30%. Would the buyer have to pay more for this item? Or would the seller and or producer of this packet of milk simply accept a 25% cut in the profit margin by keeping the packet of milk at $1.25? Obviously that wouldn't happen, because that makes absolutely no sense to just yeet away 1/4 of your profit margin, so the item, or packet of milk in this case, would cost $1.30. I'll leave a link to an article in the description below that explains why it doesn't matter, as it does a far better job explaining how taxes affect prices than I could tell you. So why is RS adding a GE tax? Well, quite simply because of inflation. If there's more gold coming into the game than there's leaving because they have very little gold sinks, the value of said gold, or purchasing power per coin, would drop, increasing the cost of items. Sure, there are many other factors that go into an item's value, but let's keep it simple here. The GE tax is there to counter inflation and make the game healthier economy-wise long term. And for that reason, it makes so much sense to have one in RuneScape 3 alongside the other gold sinks we have, although maybe not 2%. Even a small 0.1% tax, which would barely be noticeable, would help the game a lot long term, especially if dev costs are going to be changed in the coming years. Interestingly enough, Old School RuneScape isn't the first iteration of RuneScape to receive a GE tax. That award goes to Darkscape, which had Grand Exchange taxes based on the threat area you were in and if you were free to play or not. Now, the Old School RuneScape team wants to turn this GE tax into more than just a gold sink. As you're probably aware, RuneScape 3 is in a pretty good spot item sink wise. We have the invention skill, high level PVM equipment that requires the lower level equipment to craft or repair, and more. More item sinks will surely be introduced with future content, and it's not something that's a priority for RuneScape 3 in my opinion. For Old School RuneScape, however, that's a different story. Well, maybe warding might have been a first, but the point is, they have very little, if any, item sinks at all. You could count alking as an item sink because it absolutely is, however it isn't for any relevant items. One of the ideas on Old School RuneScape is to use the gold that is being taxed to buy out items from the game, in short, destroying them, therefore turning the gold sink into an item sink as well. It seems slightly detrimental to do that because it would bring gold back into the game from the taxed money, but it probably wouldn't come close to the tax GP in value anyways, but it's something that caught my attention. The point of that function, or that item sink, is to reduce the amount of supply in circulation, and perhaps to keep PVM efforts that are slightly older more profitable. This so-called coffer system, the item sink, would have a daily limit to prevent players from killing the circulation entirely and to avoid a steep decline in player-to-player trading for the Grand Exchange. They also showed a potential list of items that could be added, as they don't want to add every single item to this item sink coffer system. In case you're wondering, I do think RuneScape 3 needs to stay away from that coffer system. Utilizing old boss drops to create new best in slot items is a much better item sync system in my opinion. The GE tax, however, is something that could be just as beneficial to RuneScape 3 as to old school RuneScape, because by reducing the amount of inflation, ridiculously expensive items could also drop in value due to the purchase power per coin increasing. Funnily enough, it's beneficial for both games, even though in old school RuneScape the gear is too cheap, and in RuneScape 3 the gear is too expensive. The steady rise of PVM gear is something I've covered in previous videos. So do I think a GE tax should come to RuneScape 3? Well, yes and no. It depends on the amount that is being taxed. If it's too high, it would force play-to-play trading to get the most out of some items. Although you could argue that the time it costs to sell your item manually would be worth it, since instantly selling it would get you less profit. It could be a trade-off between you being able to sell your items straight away and allowing you to continue doing other stuff, or spending time to sell your item but then getting more profit. It's a really difficult topic and choice, but if there really is a lot of inflation in RuneScape 3, it's probably a good idea to implement some kind of tax. After all, we don't know for sure if it's demand or inflation that's bumping up the prices, although a mix of both probably seems more logical. According to a Q&A livestream from late 2018, the game was actually in a period of deflation around 2017. Since then, we've received numerous gold sinks like the PVM hub and the next bank upgrade, and during this same Q&A the GE tax was also brought up, and it was said that they will probably add something when trading over max cash is a possibility. Not sure if that still holds up, but it's definitely worth a mention. I thought that was pretty interesting to read. I say read because I'm using all Too Lazy Didn't Watch threads from Reddit to find this information, and they also include some quotes from the JMods. Now, I don't want to make this video too long, so let me know what you think of the possibility of RuneScape 3 receiving a GE tax by voting on my community poll or by dropping a comment down below. I'm sure this is going to be quite the controversial and discussion heavy video, so let's see. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like down below and maybe even consider subscribing, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.